What they got going on?
This is your,
First official.
don't blow it.
I'd like to call the 6:30 regular Romulus board meeting to order. Can I get roll call, please?
Mrs. Buckley?
Here.
Mr. Kuderik?
Present.
Mrs. Lanasi? Present. Ms. White? Is absent. Ms. Roscoe?
Here.
President Frayer?
Here.
And Mr. Minkevich is also here.
Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, this is so much better.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to do the approval of the agenda.
I'd like to add an item, Commercial Foods Ice Awards, for item A.
Okay. We'll put that right before personnel actions. Can I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the
No.
agenda.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Kuderik, supported by Mrs. Buckley. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. The next item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Support.
Motion by Mrs. Lanasi, supported by Mr. Kuderik. Are there any questions?
Two. We have 2 meetings so far.
Oh, yeah, we'll do the January 23rd meeting first, because there were 2 meetings, January 23rd and then the January 30th meeting. So we'll do the 23rd meeting first. That was
So you want that in the
motioned.
motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put it in the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Lanasi, supported by
Support.
Mr. Kuderik. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, now at this time, we'll do the January 30th meeting.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of our special meeting of January 30th.
I'll support.
Motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mr. Minkevich. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda would be the report of the superintendent.
We have Plymouth Ice Spectacular Awards here to give to 2 folks. Maybe you'd like to
At-
make a presentation?
Certainly. At this time, we'd like to announce and give away 2 awards. We had 2 students from the Romulus High School competing in a Plymouth Ice Spectacular. At this time, Marcus Richardson.
Is he still out in the hallway?
He might be out.
Okay.
He was here 10 minutes ago.
He was just here.
He was just here.
He was just here.
Maybe he's just right outside or outside the front door.
Okay. And Nedra Harris. This is a certificate that you received. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Nedra received a bronze medal in the competition this year, so congratulations to her. That was a good job. What was the carving?
Marcus Richardson.
A swordfish?
He comes in, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Did she find it?
Okay, Joel.
Personnel recommendations, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Carr, members of the board. We have several personnel recommendations for you this evening. Our first one is a for your information, the employment of Ms. Kimberly Webb, Secretary at Merriman Elementary School, effective January 24th, 2006. Our next also is a for your information, resignation of Ms. Jamie Evans. In addition, I would like to update the board that we have selected a new varsity football coach. His name is Mr. Matthew Laddock, and we're looking forward to Mr. Laddock taking over the team for our fall upcoming season. Thank you.
Bills for payment.
I am submitting the bills from the period of January 25th through February 9th in the amount of $423,993.74 for your approval.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept and approve the bills for payment.
Support.
Motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Mrs. Vanassi. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Dolan.
Thank you, Mr. Carr, members of the board. Tonight, we have with us the facilitators of the board's 7 initiatives. We are prepared to propose to you the initiatives running from June to 2011. We are obligated to present a 5-year plan for Title I and North Central accreditation. Just a quick history, the initiative started in 1995. We've reviewed them annually. You've reviewed them annually. You've had presentations. We had a leadership symposium this August of about 125 leadership staff to review and get feedback on the initiatives. In May, we will have an outside external team that will review the initiatives as part of the district accreditation. And this is what you all will be going down to Chicago, and this is the part of the award that we received because of our initiatives and what we've done. So we're not going to go into great detail because we understand that you all have been involved in these initiatives. I think every one of you is on one of the initiatives, so we're going to go through them and entertain any questions you may have. These are 6 initiatives that are intended, when coordinated, to increase achievement. These are basically the same initiatives we've had for the last 10 years. The framework of the initiatives, and Debbie and Lynn will talk to, is the North Central accreditation transitions, and we'll be adding the district accreditation model. It's pretty fluid. It's a real focus initiatives by the facilitators and absolute involvement by the board. So we feel blessed that we've had such coordination of all these initiatives and the alignment. We're going to start out with Ms. Cook. She's going to talk about the technology initiatives. Does everybody have them in front of them? Okay. To reference, and please ask questions. We're not going to dull you with things that we think you know. Linda?
What I'm going to do with these charts that you see in front of you, if you certainly have any questions after we finish today, you can certainly ask about the notations of M is for monitor and evaluate, I is for implement, R is for revision, D is for develop, and C is for complete. This is the format that we've used for all of the plans within the 5-year plan. As far as the goals are concerned for technology, number 1, continuing process to respond to total cost of ownership of aging technology. As you are aware, you know that much of our technology is 5 years old. Some of it is 9 years old. And if those of you who were here during the initial bond with the Dynacom Safari systems that deliver media in the classrooms, you know that system is 15 years old. So much of it is an aging piece. We have approximately 15 vendors that we work with open POs to keep everything up and running for the district because we are very data driven. We are very connected to our computers to get information. Implementing a plan to replace and repurpose aging technology. We feel that we need a plan in place to take some of the oldest pieces out and to start replacing them. I realize when their budget is tight, but we're using some E-rate funds and whatever other means we can in order to replace the oldest first. Implementing a plan to purchase and upgrade software applications. You know that during a period of time, over years, you have to upgrade. Many of our computers are still on Windows 2000, and we're definitely looking at XP, and the same with software. We would like to upgrade most people to 2003 Microsoft. Providing professional development to integrate and use hardware and software. This is a continuing program that we have here. We will always give training to people who need it to integrate the software and the technology pieces. Providing a secure technology environment. It's very important to us that we use surf control to protect the students and staff from anything untoward on the internet. We have policies in place, acceptable use policies for both staff and students. We also provide a routers and all of the technology in the server farm to make sure that no one can hack into our servers. We're very proud of the fact that we're a very secure environment. Continuing technology support for personnel. We currently have a technology director, we have media specialists, we have media techs in each building, we have video techs. We would like to keep that program in place. Implementing distance learning, and I'll take the other one here, integrating the state's technology outcomes K-12. We have to be proactive with state mandates. And if the state comes down and says that we have to provide situations for online learning, we have to be ready for that. We also have to be ready for the fact that the state is now requiring us to implement their technology outcomes, integrate them into our curriculum. This year, the 6-8 outcomes have to be integrated, and you have to report to the state the percentage of students who have met those outcomes. And then they're going to come at us with K-5 and 9-12. So we're going to have to be ready with that. Providing applications to collect and use data assessments. We work very closely with Wayne County RESA to make sure that every piece of data is there for you to look at, to use, to make programs in response to that. Investigating wireless environments for all buildings. This is something you're going to have to look at down the road if you start having students and parents who come in here and say, why can't my kids bring their laptops to school, in particular at the high school possibly. The only way we can do that is to look at a wireless environment, because we don't have drops in all the rooms where kids could come in and plug in their laptops. It would have to be a strictly wireless environment, and that's one of the things down the road that we certainly should look at. Continuing support for district communication programs. We have this situation right here where board meetings are taped. We have Channel 19 that puts it out to the community, and we have in-school news shows too that are used as far as communication. And lastly, providing information on bonding of technology needs. Down the road, maybe for those 2 years right there up through '08, is to really take a good look at what the next step might be for putting a bond out. Do you want questions now or after?
Yeah, it'd be appropriate to ask any questions.
I've got one, Madam Chair. I'm looking at the cost. Is there a cost associated? I'm sure it is, because when we update at GM with our software or getting our equipment updated, because technology does change over so much. Do we know what kind of costs we're talking about associating with, say, like a wireless environment?
Well, that's what we're looking at.
I
have been talking to Dell. We have called them in. I have Apple Computer coming in. I'm looking at all of the vendors, trying to get all of this information. And next year would be a really big year to really start looking at costs for that. That's what we're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Talking about the wireless network, we would still be able to keep that very secure like we do the internet access that we have now?
Yeah, we do have some spots. There's wireless used at the high school. We have, right now, we have laptop carts in all the buildings. There's 15 laptops on it. At the high school, we have 2. And it's a wireless environment. We can field those out in the cafeteria if we're doing a workshop or in the media center, but the wireless unit is right on top of the laptop cart. I'm talking about a little more massive use of wireless. But yes, we can keep it secure. Surf control comes up if anybody tries to get into something they shouldn't. It's all controlled by the server farm.
Okay.
So basically, when you say investigating wireless environments, you would be looking at putting up a tower, maybe?
No, I don't think a tower is what we're looking at. We're looking at the inside environment of the school.
Okay.
You said that by the end of this year, we have to have the 6th through 8th grade outcomes to the state?
Yes.
Now, is this a mandate of the state for all school districts?
Yes.
Now, if you're not able to update financially, what happens?
Well, right now, you mean in terms of the technology and each one of the...
Yeah, what the state is...
The state is going to require... Right now, it's integrated into the classroom. Now, Molly McGlynn is working very hard on that at the middle school in order to make sure that all of these outcomes, or as many of them, are covered as we can. Probably the one that we're not really going to meet full 100% of the students would be email, and I'm sure that Ms. Atkins would agree with me that opening up email to students is something that you would not, at this point in time, want to do. But, I mean, there are some outcomes we'll be able to meet and some we can't. And Yes. Yeah, that's what we think right now. Ms. McGlynn sent me a email the other day that we're at about 86%. And you do have to show improvement, I guess. There's going to be some component where the state's going to require you every year to show some improvement in meeting those outcomes. But they do have their rough drafts out for K-5 and 9-12 too, so we'll probably have to report those down the road.
We're relatively strong in relationship to our application of technology K-12. We've been at it for a long time. I think the message from Linda, and nothing new to anyone here, is that we have outdated equipment, or some outdated equipment, and it's going to be a challenge down the road for the next 5 years, and we have to look at that. So that's what our focus is. But in relationship to a delivery level and a curriculum level and a professional development level, I think our staff are as good as anyone else.
If anything, your staff, with the knowledge that they have, and the kids with the knowledge they have from being raised from that kindergarten environment up, their demands are, I want faster, I want more updated technology. I mean, that's what we're hearing.
Thank you, Linda. Who's on the technology committee from the board? Ken, are you on it?
No, not now.
Oh, Tom is on it,
Tom.
okay. And as the committees meet, those components will get more specific. In relationship to the curriculum component, we're pretty strong as a district. We've always been relatively strong. It is a continuing process to align and to assess the content. It's pretty precarious right now because the state has always been in flux. As you know, we're in flux in relationship to the high school requirements. We're sort of holding fast right now until we figure out what they are. We made major revisions to the elementary and to the middle school. We have exceptionally focused principals and learning specialists and department heads. We've accomplished a lot. I'm extremely proud of the work that they've done. I would think we are as aligned as anyone else, but it's a never-ending process to keep aligned, to keep contemporary with the professional development. We've been fortunate that we've received some supportive grants, the CSRD grant that allows us a lot of professional development, the Reading First grant that allows us opportunities to really specialize on K-3 reading. I think as a district, all teachers feel that the curriculum is rather focused, rather challenging. But the nice thing now with this staff is that they generally understand that it's always in revision, and we're always in a revisionist format, and it's just never going to end. But I think we're doing a relatively good job with it. The monitoring, we've completed a cycle on the curriculum audits. We'll start that cycle up again. Our teachers I think are most proud of how they use data, and those of you from the business world would be extremely impressed if you were to walk into any of our classrooms and sit down with our principals and teachers and see how they can just really look at a kid's reading or math or science scores and determine a prescriptive plan to follow based on that data. So we're getting extremely knowledgeable along those lines. We have the Teaching and Learning Manual, the Teaching and Learning Book, which I think is unique to a school district that really provides a format, a philosophy of how we teach in Romulus. The biggest concern on our recent survey by all the quote leadership in the school, the 150 at the retreat, was differentiated learning. Their concerns, the teachers' concerns, we have pretty wide ranges of achievement in all our classrooms of ability levels. We have probably a 30 to 40% transient rate of kids that enter and exit our classes. The demands on a teacher of probably a 3 or 4 year bridge in achievement levels in that classroom, trying to meet those unique needs of those kids. We have some very challenged kids behaviorally and trying to balance those needs as well. So that is a goal for us, and we're looking at some models for professional development, and I think probably the most significant goal that we have. Pretty confident where we're going. Good group of principals and teachers. Collaboration has increased significantly, and I think we're on the right direction. Questions? And the curriculum changes, we're just going to have to wait, and Joe and I have talked, and you've been reading the papers, and it's anything from logical to the absurd, and we're just going to wait and see, and it's going to cost money, too, if we do some of those things, so we're going to wait till the last minute. I think that's our position, isn't it, Mr. Kerr?
Yes, sir.
All righto. Ms. Juriga.
As you know, our North Central Transitions program is the program that we have chosen to use as the structure for school improvement. School improvement is mandated by federal and state law, so we have to choose a process that helps us move all the schools through a cycle of looking at ourselves, improving ourselves, with the goal of improving student achievement. We choose North Central Association for that process. And we choose the highest level of North Central called Transitions. And that is the process whereby we look at every child throughout the child's career. It is a very rigorous process, and we're coming to the end of that cycle. This year and next year we'll be wrapping up a 5-year cycle, and we'll be starting a new cycle again. And it's our recommendation to continue with North Central. As you know, we're looking at adding the district accreditation, and these two things are going to parallel each other. The district accreditation is going to help keep that district vision alive, and the school improvement process of transition is going to help bring alive the initiatives in the buildings and in the classrooms. That's what's so important about this structure. And I think the other thing that's important about the school improvement process is that so many schools, so many districts that we see, school buildings are out there doing school improvement cycles without regard to how other schools in the district are working. Romulus can be very proud that all schools in the district start and complete a school improvement cycle at the same time. It really speaks to our focus, it really speaks to the vision that we have, and it speaks to what we think is really important in improving over a period of 3 to 5 years. And so it's our recommendation that we continue that process. It's really the structure or the glue that helps keep the rest of these initiatives going. Some of the things that you saw on here are really some of the activities that schools, the school buildings, have to complete in order to complete their 5-year task. Any questions? I also want to let you know that this is my last year of chairing this committee, and I've been working with Lynn Massoyan, who's going to be taking over this initiative for the district. So I've been happy to work with her this year and pass the torch. Thank you.
The essential goals that all schools choose to continue are the language arts, reading and writing, and math. That is our continuing effort to increase achievement in all those lines. And of course, Debbie, as you all know, she is retiring and has been instrumental in coordinating this, not only at the local level, but at the state level as well. So we will miss her, and I'm sure Lynn will step into it and just move us right along. Huh, Lynn? Next is early childhood. Chairman?
Good evening. At the January 23rd board meeting, I gave a fairly detailed report on the Early Childhood Initiative. So I just want to reiterate tonight that our two overarching goals are to increase the number of Romulus children who have access to an early childhood preschool experience. And our other most important goal is to provide parents and caregivers with the kind of support and information they need to be their children's first and best teachers. And all of our strategies apply to those two goals, and we're a very collaborative initiative. We have members from all around the community, teachers, special services members, Head Start, the Guidance Center, and we plan to continue working collaboratively to provide that kind of support to the community. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just a comment on this initiative. When we developed this initiative, this wasn't going to be a funded initiative by the board, but an initiative which would facilitate services, and we would be the leader in the community. I think Sharman's done a great job with that. And you'll note on her goals is to expand partnerships with other agencies, and that's something we need to do in these fiscal times, but Sharman's done a great job with that. Climate, Doug?
Well, good evening. It's my pleasure to talk to you about climate. The Climate Committee meets every month, and you're all welcome to come if you have some time. We meet at the Media Center in the high school on the first Monday of school every month, and we'd like to thank Betty Lanassi for volunteering her time to be with us. It's a pretty dynamic group of people that encompasses social workers, principals, IR room supervisors, parents, and community members who have an interest in the climate of our buildings. And certainly we understand the importance of climate as the underlying thing that helps to support all of what we're about here in Romulus in terms of education. Because we realize that the climate that we have in the building is the thing that sets a tone for all the other good things to happen that we want to occur in school. The goals of the Climate Committee that we've presented here tonight, looking forward over the next 5 years, what is it we're doing now, and what is it we need to do to accomplish the task of continuing to have a safe and orderly environment in Romulus schools. Obviously, we want to continue to increase the involvement of community members and staff on the Climate Committee team. So thus my open invitation to come and join us. And we also want to continue to use the technology that you've given us to be able to put it to work in keeping track of data regarding students and children in school, so that we can provide information to school improvement teams, to board members, to policymakers about what it is the students are doing in school relative to climate. This helps us to develop the student code of conducts and the rules within each building, and to provide an opportunity to maintain a level, even-handed approach to the rules within each school. Also, we want to continue to be involved in professional development for staff in terms of climate and help to support the things that are happening in each building. That may be on one level. Just a week or so ago, we trained the intervention room supervisors in terms of how to utilize the Zangle behavior module to keep track of student data, which is a shift of how we've done it in the past, to bringing on a new system that you have provided the schools. We also want to continue to maintain the relationships that we have, having on our Climate Committee, having representatives from the teen health clinic serve, I've already mentioned the social workers, but also the school nurse has participated, and our police liaison officer has always been a member of that team. So we continue to expand the people that we invite to our meetings and try to be responsive to what the different segments of the educational community need as far as a safe environment. The opportunity for us to provide information to other buildings within our district as to programs that work, things that can help reduce the number of referrals that students get, and to improve the overall interaction of students. We want to try to support the programs that principals have put in place in their individual buildings, where they see good positive results, and then be able to share those things with other principals within the district as ideas and opportunities that they can utilize in their building to help deal with issues in their building. And those are things like the Romulus Way at the high school and the positive programs that we have there, and the no bullying program. These are all things that the Climate Committee would certainly like to take credit for, but obviously they come, those things come from the minds of great people who are working within their buildings, looking at the data that the Climate Committee has worked to be able to provide them with, so that they can look at it and say, well, we can do this. Here's a situation where we see high numbers in this area. Let's try to develop a program that could help resolve that. And then when we find that it works, then we share it with everybody. And we also want to work to provide information about new programs that are out there, either statewide or nationally, so that we can bring those up to front in our meetings and take a look at them and see if there are things there that we can implement in Romulus to help our kids have a safe and orderly environment to work in. Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
You've got where and when, but we need a time.
4 o'clock
First
on the first Monday of the month that we have school.
I don't have a question, Madam Chairperson, but I'm really proud of the team that we have, and that also the staff that we have in all the buildings who have implemented things, and the referrals have come down. I think the one thing that has been so good is that no bullying program that they have implemented. I also am very proud of our team with the crisis response guide and how that has been published and implemented in all the buildings now. I think that we're just moving right along.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Pat? Healthy living?
Good evening. First thing I want to say is I am really glad to be part of a committee of people who are committed to the health of our children. Our committee is made up of all the physical education teachers, our school nurse, Lauren Kazee from the Adolescent Teen Health Center, Reverend Kren. Did I leave anyone out, Sheila? I think that's pretty much everybody on our committee. Cheryl has come, Celeste has come to our meetings in the past, Debbie Dick comes to our meetings on a regular basis. And if you have healthy children, obviously it's going to be a little bit easier to educate them. They're in school more often, it makes sense. The first goal we have is the development of the wellness policy that I'm sure you know the state has mandated that every school district have now a wellness policy in place. Glenn Nua from the Chartwells Food Services has been working with Carol to develop that wellness plan for Romulus. We thought we had it all ready to turn into the policy committee, and then we looked at a few other wellness policies that were out there, and we thought we can kind of tweak ours and maybe make it a little bit better, more personalized to Romulus, and what will be more favorable to our use. So we'll be getting that to the policy committee as soon as we've finished with it. We know that collaborating with other community education groups will allow us to provide programs for youth and parents. We feel that we also need to educate the parents of in our school system. We need to let them know that there are things out there that can help them be better parents, stress reduction, violence, parenting skills, and if you could go to the next one. There we go. At the meeting in August, one of the things that everybody that came to the Good to Great program, everyone that came said, I didn't know health was an initiative. And we were excited because we got to be in front of everyone and say, not only is health an initiative, but you're going to help role model this. You know, if you're going to have beverages in class, can we suggest that you have water? If you're going to have that pop, could you put it in a coffee mug? If you can model for your kids healthy ways of living, healthy ways of being, and being, promoting health on that front, it makes a better, you know, the kids see you doing it, then they're going to do it. One of the things all the staff, we trained them at was a thing called a brain break. In class, you see the kids kind of falling off. Well, that's the perfect time for a brain break, because now you can do this little thing called That's Me. And what you have them do is you ask questions like, who had a good breakfast this morning? And all the kids stand up and go, that's me. You do 3 or 4 questions. The kids all get to move. The blood gets circulating. Now they're ready to come back, focus, and attend again. And these are just simple little things you can do. And everybody that left the program in August was thrilled to have ideas and, you know, take healthy ideas back and realize how important what they do is. I think teachers forget sometimes what great role models that they are. One of my plans this year is to use the technology a little bit more. I'm getting a little bit more familiar with it. We'd like to have a wellness website for the district to let people in the district know the things that we do. We realize, and certainly from that meeting in August, if people don't know that we're there, if people don't know what we do, we need to really connect with them in a more positive way. Maybe newspaper articles might help, but people that are more connected in, you know, if you have a website, that's going to draw them in. It's going to invite them to the things and events that we're going to do. Of course, we're going to continue with all the activities that we do now to promote fitness. The 6th grade field day, every October, well, we started it with the Pumpkin Festival last year, the Family Fun Run. It was actually a fun walk. Last year we had in January what's called the New Year, New You Fun and Fitness Day at the high school. It wasn't very well attended because we did have a terrible, terrible snow day that day. But the people that came just came out and thought it was a great thing to have. And I think if we could promote it more through other, you know, services that we have in the community, we'll have more of an attendance and people will find out we're really out there and what we're all about. The last thing is we have to promote staff wellness too. If our staff is healthier, there's going to be less sick days, there's going to be more time on task, less substitute time. You can do fun things, and once again, like I say, if you can tell the teachers and explain to the teachers what a role model they are for our students, it's going to be a huge thing. That's all I have.
Questions?
No, I just have a comment. I think the website thing sounds like a great idea. I know that most families have working parents that work 2 jobs, probably opposite shifts, so it's hard for them, you know, and especially in today's age, we have a lot of single family homes.
Exactly.
So I think the website will help too. I know that, you know, I would probably tune in a lot more myself personally, so
Sure.
I think that's a good idea.
And any opportunity to get people to move, it's great.
Right, right. Even if you don't know they're doing it, but they're doing it from home.
Sure.
So, anybody else questions?
Madam Chair, Pat, can you give us the next meeting date, time,
Yes,
where?
March the 16th at 4 o'clock at the Adolescent Teen Health Center. We'd love to have you come. It's always the 2nd Thursday of the month unless it is conflicted with like conferences. I know parent conferences were one Thursday and we had to back it up to the next one.
Thank you, Pat. Phyllis?
Good evening, and I hope to make this very short and quick. We have now been working on the school community program for 10 years, and our most important job is to involve the school and the community in helping us make our kids the top kids in the nation. And I think that we have such a wonderful committee. We have a committee of parents. The parent coordinators are involved in just about everything that the school has. It is unique, I think, to have a parent be the leader of the parent group. In most schools, it is usually the principal or the principal's designee. And in our schools, we have parent coordinators. Now, in some schools, we have 1 parent coordinator, and at the high school, we have as many as 4 parent coordinators who work together to really make the Compact for Achievement come alive. One of the things that the symposium in August let us know is that we need to build onto our parent compact. We need to review it again, revise it again, so we intend to do that. not make it more difficult, but indeed make it more user-friendly. We want to do that in the coming years. We will continue with our monthly meetings. They are the first Thursday of every month at 9:30 in the morning. And for this year, we've been doing it at Romulus Middle School. We will probably start doing it like we have in the past, moving it from school to school. But being this is our first year at Romulus Middle School, we kind of need to keep our eyes on things. Would you, we are working on combining Romulus Way, which you have hopefully been introduced to. It is a program for 7 through 12 at this point, and our compact. So we want to work on that also. And we want to work, we want to work actually on marketing and actually having more activities within the school setting to make the compact come alive. And we worked last meeting on finding those activities that we want to do as a district instead of just as a building. We want to do it as a district. And also partnering with community education, which we haven't done before, in pursuing classes for parents. I have any number of parents who call me about math or English language arts. Our objectives have changed, and parents can't get familiar with them. You send home a book, and yet the parent doesn't understand how to help their child. So what we would like to do is have classes where we have a teacher actually go through the math objectives or the science objectives, so that parents can actually support their kids at home. We have also strived to have not only parents do schoolwork at home, but also do those things like making sure that kids get to bed on time, that they're not staying out late until midnight, at the high school, that they are, getting rest, and they are also studying, they're doing their homework. Those are the kinds of things they're reading. One of the things that was so evident to me was I was talking to some of the English language arts teachers at 7th grade, and they were explaining to me how much they appreciate the elementary schools stressing reading and reading for the sake of reading. They're finding that there are so many kids that are from month to month buying books. They've never had this happen before to this extent. And so, they really, I said, well, thank the elementaries, because we've been working on that for quite some time. So those are the kinds of things, and parents have helped us with that. We try to influence parents to, at a book fair, not to buy the little toys and the little things, rings and that kind of thing, but actually buy books. And parents are doing that. They're supporting us in those ways. So the school community committee has had, for 10 years, has had a wonderful ride, and we continue to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. It's, this will bring us into the next 5 years. Extremely focused. I think good leadership. Are there things that are missing? Are there things that you would want us to add that is not in, these are big pictures. These are the 6 initiatives.
There's one thing that I would be very inquisitive about, and I know that it was discussed years ago, pretty much when I first got on the board. We discussed at one point possibly the parents at home being able to tap into their computer and see their child's success in school. Where are we at with that? Did that get tossed out the window? Was that Zangle? Where's that at? Because I personally would even like to be able to do that from my home, to log on and see how my kids are doing in school.
Can you
There is
respond?
a part to Zangle called Parent Connect. It's a fee-based program per student. But you
Is-
can do that.
Is that something you would like us to explore?
I would actually like us to explore, that's with that program. What I would like us to explore is, I know that there's other programs because most of your colleges and your universities offer it today, what's called Blackboard. And you log on to your computer every day and you can see your grades as they're being, put in by your professor. And you can see the grade as soon as they put it in. I think it would help our kids do well. For example, if a student is not doing very good on a test, then they know that's where their weakness is. They can study more.
We can
If-
certainly
if
add
the
that as a goal.
problems with homework, the parent could say, why wasn't your assignment turned in yesterday? I know you did it. I watched you do it. Why wasn't it turned in? I just think that we could relate more with our kids. It would even help be better parents as far as,
So that's a reasonable goal we can work towards. A number of our schools have their kids and parents hooked up to Compass at home, but that's certainly something we can pursue and put as a goal.
and I know that there has to be some kind of software program out there that we could maybe look into maybe purchasing one time.
Sure.
And having all the students have access to it. I
Sure.
don't,
That's doable. Any other items that we may have missed that you would like us to focus on? All right. Thank you all for coming. Good job, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan.
I have one question, Tom.
Sure.
I used to be on technology, and then I thought that we couldn't be on committees
I don't
anymore.
think the president can. I don't
Is
know.
that really considered a committee, or would that be considered more of like I would
You can
like
go
to be
a-
back on
you-
that
you-
committee personally.
You can go and visit any of the committees, just as long as we don't have
a
more
quorum.
than 3 board members at
So
any
if
meeting.
Tom is
That's
the only
case.
one attending technology right now, then I could get back on that.
Correct.
Well, you can certainly go and attend, whether you want to become a member or not is, I think you're an ad hoc member to every committee.
Because
I think Naomi is supposed to be part of that committee.
I think Linda's.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Technology.
She is.
So that's where the money's going to be needed.
Tom, can you email me again tomorrow?
Are there any other, all of you are on a committee, I think. Is everybody all right with where they're at? And you've been great, and it's been extremely helpful. And I know you communicate amongst yourselves, so that helps the communication flow. But, okay, thanks.
Where's this meeting held?
Thank you, Mr. Carr.
Is it Mount Pleasant?
We have a field trip for Wick Elementary School. We need a motion on this, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the field trip for Cedar Point for the Wick Elementary students for May 20th, 2006. And real quick, just one comment. I really like the way she put this together and let us know that she took in consideration that we have Memorial Day holiday, and also that she's not picking a Saturday that is graduation day. Because I know in the past that has been a big concern with parents that have students in the elementary and students graduating. So I'd like to tell her, thank you for taking those dates into consideration.
I'll
That's my
support it,
motion.
and I think that was great that she did that. Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Mrs. Roscoe, supported by Mrs. Lanassi. Are there any questions about the field trip to Cedar Point?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I got a
Yes.
question. It's saying there's no cost to the district. Is this all, they are also covering the cost of the buses to transport the students too, correct?
That should be included.
Yes.
She
Okay.
has
It's in
no
their
cost
fee.
to us.
Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item, we need to appoint a voting representative for the trust, and I've nominated Sherry Papazoglu to fill that position.
I'll make the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I support.
Motion by Mrs. Lanassi, supported by Mrs. Buckley. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The items of interest are self-explanatory. I have another item of interest. The Free Press called me today relative to the graduation requirements, and particularly relative to the availability of teachers to put in these additional mathematics classes and the other academic enrichments they talk about. And my comment was that it becomes a matter of supply and demand. If you're going to demand that there be many more math teachers, it's going to become a very difficult problem because the supply is a finite number, and we're looking for probably 3 times the finite number or 5 times the finite number that normally come out to cover this. So the Free Press is addressing that. I'm trying to stay as non-combative as possible in here so as not to bring negative attention to Romulus from some of the powers that be who might want to take a shot at us from afar to the northwest of here. That's just another little item that's out there.
Madam Chairman, I just noticed, as looking at the proposed agenda, there's 2 items left off. One is audience participation and one is board comments.
Right, Celeste just pointed that out. Thank you, thank you. Okay, at this time, Joel, we can still add those, right?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll just go ahead
We'll
and
go
do that
ahead
after
and,
the-
at this
from
time,
audience participation and then board comments.
we'll do the audience participation. I don't have anything here in front of me to speak of, so with that, I guess we'll move on. Are there any questions or concerns of board members?
Madam Chair, I have one item. Every year, Corey usually has a soul food dinner during Black History Month.
Right.
And this Wednesday, it would be 6:30 at the middle school, and they're asking the board members that can to serve the parents and the students like we normally do. So I need to know from the board members who will be able to do that. So-
Okay, I will definitely be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I see they moved it to the middle school.
It's getting
That's-
quite
that's
large.
good. It
It's
got pretty
getting
crowded
so
over at
large
Corey.
that they had to move it, so.
Okay, good deal.
So, April,
time
you
is
and
it?
Ken, at
Wednesday at
6:30.
6:30.
They want us
I
to
think there was
be at the
something-
middle school at 6
A reason why I
o'clock.
couldn't do it.
So Reverend Talley,
Wednesday?
yes.
Okay, I will be there.
Celeste.
I'm going to have to apologize. I'm not going to be able to make it this year. We've got leagues for wrestling, and my son's
Okay.
wrestling.
Same thing for me, is we're going to be
I
at
don't
the
think I can
wrestling
make it
meet
either.
at the high school.
Betty,
I said I didn't
I'm
think
sorry,
I
I
was
didn't
able to
hear
make it.
pardon me?
That's why I didn't, weren't we supposed to RSVP and I wasn't able to,
No, that was something,
That was something else.
That was the
yeah.
other.
That was the other letter in their
Okay.
packets.
I will let Reverend Talley know that it'll be Ken, April, and myself, and I'll check. Usually Naima will usually
Ken,
do
too.
it. I got
Yeah,
Ken.
he can, okay.
I'll check with Naima when she gets back. So it's this Wednesday.
This
Be at the middle
Wednesday.
school at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Ms. Buckley.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or concerns of board members?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to bring up, I gave out, I think, 3 copies to everybody on the board. One is the kind of a synopsis of the governor's proposed budget. I picked this up this morning at a meeting, and there's a couple things on here that they're already talking. There was $50 million for declining enrollment. A couple of the representatives that were there said that probably wouldn't stay in the budget. It looks pretty good as far as money coming into the per pupil allotment for this year is $25, next year is $175. But their cute little bookkeeping is they put it in one hand, they take it out of the other. And you'll notice near the bottom that the retirement rate is up to 17.74%. This year it was 16-something.
1634.
So, you know, they're kind of playing games with finances. The blue sheet's pretty well, it's my blue sheet, but the legislative initiative and petition process lists some of the things that they were going for there. But the other one is the educational legislation. Again, you'll notice that House Bills 4575 and 4611, dealing with sinking funds, nothing's happening. There's one House Bill 5609 where they're talking about possibly coming up with some money to help cover the fingerprinting cost of employees. You might also note that in the papers and everything, there was several articles recently about how bad that list was, how many mistakes and so on. So I guess there's another list going to come out in the near future. And the one that I just fell off my chair about was House Bill 5600. This representative, and it's been sent to the Appropriations Committee, came up with this, that the state would assume the responsibility for operating deficit for the Detroit Public Schools. Now, take in mind, we're broke, right? $122 million.
Yeah.
to bail out the Detroit Public Schools. So that's what I picked up at the meeting this morning.
That brings to mind just a couple of comments I'd like to make. One is relative to, there are rumors flying about this community with no basis relative to the fact that there's going to be some massive layoff of who knows who. There's been no statements made relative to that. There's been no action taken relative to laying off anybody at this point. We're looking very closely at our budget. We made a conscious decision a number of years ago, and each of the years succeeding, to continue our programs as long as we possibly can in terms of our funding. It's true that by the end of this year, our funding situation is going to be precarious, and there may have to be some changes made in programming, but that work is now just beginning, and there'll be more information that comes out within the next month to 6 weeks, not before that. And the rumors that are out there are absolutely unfounded, and people should disregard anything they're hearing relative to changes have already been made for next year. It's just flat out not true. Relative to the legislation and sinking funds, it's really something we need to have, a legislation change. We've tried for years and we'll continue to try. Maybe it'll get life some night at 11 o'clock when they're getting ready to pass legislation. Maybe we can sneak it in and make it happen, or get enough other support to make it happen. So we are working hard on those issues to try to make things right.
Thanks, Joel. Ms.
Okay, I have a
Scarnazzi?
question, Madam Chair Lady. Are we, this fingerprinting thing, Mr. Carr, are substitutes going to have to be fingerprinted also?
Yes.
Okay.
By 2008,
By 2008,
the
yeah.
whole thing has got to be in place by 2008. We're going to go slow. They're making changes all the time. The list that they gave us had 6 or 7 names on it. 2 of the people don't even work for us anymore. There were at least 2 and maybe 3 others who it's absolutely untrue that what was stated on there about them. I think there were 2 that had traffic violations that showed on there. There are not sex offenders on our list. There are no serious crime situations. The list is scurrilous. It's not going to be distributed in the form it's come. We're going to wait for the upcoming list in March, and then we'll take a good review of that before anything goes out. There's a FOIA request out there by the Detroit papers. The judge's ruling last Friday said that we don't need to distribute these incorrect lists, and at this point, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, right, I read that.
The facts are just not there in these lists.
Ken, there was a meeting you were talking about, the fingerprinting. When is that?
Yeah, March 16th, at the Wayne County RESA Annex Building in the auditorium area.
RESA.
At 6:30. And it's going to be a discussion strictly about this new fingerprint law and trying to inform everyone as to what it is. Everybody knows RESA is on Van Born Road. If you go in, the RESA building's on the left, you need to make a right, and it goes to the annex, and they have an auditorium there. But it's 6:30 on March 16th.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Mr. Dolan?
Yes, policy committee met tonight, and one of our goals was to look at the existing policies of the Student Code of Conduct regarding threats, and I would refer the board to 5020 in the policy book, which details what happens when a student verbally makes a threat in the administrator's reaction. So we were satisfied that it was specific enough and that there was administrative responses to it. Is that about right, Ms. Buckley?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Kuderik?
Yes, I got one question here. I know we got, the athletic department's got a budget, but how does the students that go to the VICA competitions, how does that, where does that come on, the funding for these students to go? Is there a budget?
Out of our general fund.
It comes out of the general fund?
We do fundraising too.
We haven't specifically stated a budget because the requirements for those participations are very different. Some
Yeah, they
years may require
fluctuate year
absolutely
from year.
nothing, and then other years there may be a great deal.
Right.
And we've kind of taken them as though it's a team that goes on to the state finals. You don't really make a budget for that because it doesn't happen very
So it just comes out of our general funds?
Yes, it does,
Okay.
and we'll take it out of
Okay, Ms. Lanasi?
Has anybody else got anything to say?
I do, but go ahead, Betty.
Oh, okay, because I was going to make a motion, but I guess I won't. I wanted to welcome Sherry to the board. I've heard some good things about you.
Okay, great.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's go.
I just have a couple things going through our newsletters that I noticed, and that is, and I think it's something that everybody can participate in. You don't have to be in a certain elementary school. Hale Creek is collecting empty inkjet laser, fax, and copy cartridges, and I know we all use something at home, and instead of pitching or whatever you do, you can drop them off in their office, and it's a fundraiser for them. So they must have a company that they can send these things back to. And also, they're collecting cell phone, laptops, and Palm Pilots. So if you don't know what to do with your old one or what have you, you could drop it off at Hale Creek. And the other thing I noticed was at Barth, and I'm sure the PTO over there would just love for more people to get involved, but they have a script program, which is you can, and I don't know what all they have on hand, but they have some on hand and some you can order. But if you shop at a certain place, you can purchase, say, a $25 gift card through Barth School, through the PTO, and they'll get a percentage of that card that you purchase. And then you can take that just like a gift card to wherever. I mean, everything from Best Buys to Wendy's. So if you're interested in doing something like that to help the PTC over at Barth, that would be great. And I mean, they have a whole list. I have a whole sheet here. And they get anywhere from, I think the highest one I see on here is 13%. So that's quite a bit. And that adds up, especially if you shop or eat in any of these places all the time. So I'm sure you can call over there and find out or get a list.
Thank you, Celeste. Are there any other questions or concerns of board members? Ken?
Yeah. Is there any chance that we could have a study session or something about the process of building a budget for next year? Where there would be some input as to things that we could see, or maybe question if there was, some cut made or suggestions.
I think
as
that
to-
there's a couple of ways we could approach that, and I haven't discussed this with Sherry, this is just a cold question, but we could do things
Yeah.
through the Finance Committee, and then, as we get into maybe building the budget, we could have a work session, and that could be, depending on the nature of it, either a closed session or an open session for the community to have an opportunity to see how we do it. And I think as we get into the process over the next 2 to 3 months, that throw the ball to Sherry on that and have her set something up.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, there's no other comments or questions from board members. If I can get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Mrs. Lanasi, supported by Mrs. Roscoe. Any questions? Roll call?
No, just a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.